Hey everyone, this is David, and I'm here to introduce Liam and I's first Beatles podcast. Now, I want to apologize a little bit in advance because this is the first time we're really doing a podcast thing, so the audio is a little weird. We might talk over each other a little bit too much, kind of veering away from the point that's endearingly awkward, if that makes any sense. But we're not trying to annoy, we're just trying to give our opinions. And in the future, we'll work on that, try to make the audio better. And we won't script ourselves. Maybe we'll write down our ideas a little more. But it shouldn't be too bad. And I hope you guys enjoy. Now, the one thing I did do is, because the audio is a little weird in some parts, I put some breathing suggestions in certain places before it's about to get really loud. So it's kind of like what the laugh track did for TV, except I'm not killing anyone's soul. So that's good. And if you check at the end of the review, we have a weird experimental cover of one of the album's songs. And we're going to do that for every album, maybe even do a few songs. We'll do weird experimental versions of the song. And some of them will be like just crazy and awful, and some of them will be crazy and good. Well, I guess that's kind of up for you guys to judge. So here is our first review of Please Please Me. Enjoy. Hey everyone, this is David from the Young Folks, and I'm here with my friend Liam, and we are going to do a little segment where we talk about every Beatles album more or less every week.
So what we're going to be doing is, I'm Liam, I'm his pal, by the way. What we're going to be doing is we're going to spend a week on every single Beatles album in chronological order, except for the really big ones like Sgt. Pepper. We're going to wish we could spend like 2 weeks on or something like that.
It might take a year on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of analyzation, but
We're not doing Yellow Submarine.
no, we're going to skip that one. Anyway.
Okay.
We started our review with Please Please Me, the Beatles debut in around 1963. And I gotta say, I've been an avid Beatles fanatic my whole life. I always totally toss this album to the side. It's just like, it's just an early effort. But listening to it again now that I've like grown and stuff like that, it's a lot better than I remember it being.
Yeah, I mean, we started this review in 1963. We've been doing it since.
Yes.
Now, what I like about this album actually is it's very young and innocent, but I kind of always dismissed it as this is the Beatles' first album, film like recorded in a day, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun to listen to, I think.
Yeah, I know. The thing about this album that really stood out to me is that, like, it sounds like it could be the original garage rock album. Like, what's kind of cool about, like, young primal albums, like, in punk and garage rock and stuff like that, and in the early rock and roll days, is that, like, you would get a group that has, like, very youthful primal energy, like, can write good songs and stuff like that, and you'd be, like, kind of set off at, like, the potential that this group has, and it would just have that kind of energy that the group has at that time in it. And this is kind of like, this sounds like the first embodiment of that album. I mean, like, all the guitars are clattering and whatnot. They're covering a lot of good songs. You know, they're writing some other ones. They're showing a lot of potential.
It's the first introduction we get to the Beatles. Like, this is where we see Paul, Ringo, John, George, all of our friends. No, but it's just kind of interesting hearing it because they were only around for a few years and they'd be making, like, really different music soon, but they're playing this music, a lot of which is actually from, like, black bands or kind of inspired by Chuck Berry, and just a lot of them that are actually from this one women's girls group for
called the Shirleys.
Yeah, for some reason.
Boys, the song "Boys" which is the worst.
It's the worst song on the album.
Which is it is by this group called the Shirleys. It was so the guys, the people who wrote "Boys" are girls.
Yeah, right. And it's just when I just started listening to this album, I was like, hey, this is a fun album, and you got everything in place. Also, Rolling Stone had kind of mentioned that this is like the first album that kind of had the idea of the self-contained band, like everyone had
like everybody had their own set positions. They wrote their own hits. They kind of managed themselves a little bit.
Ringo's the one they make fun of. George is the guitarist. John, Paul's Paul.
I mean, I have a story that like really kind of made me realize what was special about this album. Once in a while, if I'm really, really bored at school, I'll, like, walk in the woods. There's, like, a little bit of woods out back behind our school, and I'll, like, listen to a new album and stuff like that. Along with the New York Dolls. And, I was like, oh, man, it's really kind of cool that they're trying to embody, like, this old rock and stuff like that. And then I remembered I have this compilation called Back to the Grave, which is of a lot of 1966 early garage rock and stuff like that. And it was kind of, back to basics and stuff like that. Just white guys just trying to get their energy out and stuff like that. And I didn't like that so much. But I really liked what it was going for, so I kind of want to learn what inspired that. And then it took me to the Rolling Stones, which then of course took me to the Beatles. And then I finally got it. Oh my God, this is just everybody says the special thing about the Beatles is that like they kind of started every trend. Like with like Rubber Soul, they kind of started like concentrated alternative pop music, and then with albums like Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, they started making like they kind of gave birth to alternative music a little bit. And but I just realized, Please Please Me, oh my God, it was just another big giant wave the Beatles were also at the forefront of. And I always understood that a little bit, but I never really understood the true significance until I heard like what everybody has started doing because of the Beatles.
But also, what I kind of like about this album is there are plenty of albums that I've listened to and thought to myself, okay, I get the influence, but I'm not exactly having a good time listening to this. I'm like,
This is just so much fun.
But the funny thing about it is, I think that like the lyrics are kind of hokey, this and that. But that was the time. That was like what people wanted to listen to. No one wanted. This is like for a lot of teenage girls, you know.
Yeah.
And for what it is, like at that time, it's cool. It's kind of a cool album. Except for boys.
Yeah, except for boys. No, I mean, like, what everybody says the stereotype in the 60s was, like, you know, the Beatles were the white hats of rock and roll, and the Rolling Stones were the black hats.
The white hats.
Were the white hats, and, like, the Rolling Stones were the black hats. Like, one was, like, the clean-cut boys who just focused on music, and the others were, like, the devils who, like, just focused on energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay, because obviously the Beatles, like, if you heard that someone walked into this review now, to be like, you're saying the Beatles don't get enough credit, but I know what you mean. They don't get enough credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody says the Rolling Stones were the first big rebels in rock, but everybody keeps, and, like, they kind of say the Beatles were the milk drinking ones, but since this came out before the Rolling Stones even like reared their heads as a group and stuff like that, and like everything the Rolling Stones did was paved way for because of the Beatles and like the idea of the self-contained rock band and the fact that they were British white guys. That all happened because of the Beatles, so nobody gives them the credit for like being the early rebellious types, you know.
Yeah, kind of. And the funny thing I will say is, like, you mentioned that, like, John Lennon kind of looked back at some of this stuff and he called "A Taste of Honey" a waste of money. You said.
Yes.
The thing is, while they're doing it though, it doesn't ever sound like they're phoning it in. It always sounds like they're into their music. You don't listen to it and say like, okay, like Paul sounds bold. You don't see that.
Except on Boys.
Except on Boys. Okay, who wouldn't? Actually, isn't Ringo singing that?
Yeah, it's Ringo singing that.
Poor Ringo.
All right. Anyway.
Okay. So
let's go through track by track. Oh my God, this is the most review we've ever done in our lives.
Oh my God.
Okay, I saw her standing there. You need to be in the mood to listen to a song like this. And
but when you are, I mean.
So much fun. It's just such a good jump up song.
The album because you got like the like it doesn't. It starts off. It goes right into it.
Yes, exactly. Sgt. Pepper and Rubber Soul and like every other song, like the way that the second song followed the first song was always perfect right here, and the way it was also perfect right here. The way that Misery immediately followed. I saw her standing there.
A Little Help From My Friends is the second one in Sgt. Pepper.
Oh yeah, it goes from the.
It's a it goes into it, right?
Yeah. The opening is like with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and then they go into like with a Little Help From My Friends, and it's really good.
So Misery, that's the one. That one is so catchy. It's like, it's the funny thing about this album, I think, is this is like the best album that had the same songs like 11 times.
Yeah, exactly. They all just sound like each other, but you don't care, you know.
Love her and she's fine, I guess. Okay. Yeah.
Anna. That's what I think. That's my favorite ballad on the album. I love Anna so much.
I love how blunt the lyrics are. It's like. You can set me free. Go with him.
Go with him.
And I like that one. That's a cover, as you said.
Yes, but it's a really good cover.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Chains. That one's all right.
Also, what the hell is with the original writers of this song? The song is lamenting about how he can't cheat on his girlfriend.
Yeah, right? Should we kill sympathy?
I mean, John Lennon did it anyway, of course.
Pretty much. And what I was saying, I thought it was funny.
Poor Cynthia.
The lyric is, oh yeah, she's not alive. The funny thing is, in that song, there's one point where it's like, but they're not the kind of chains that you can see. When I first heard it, I was like, but they are the kind of chains that you can see. And I'm like, ooh, God. Beatles, man.
Boys, obviously we talked about this is the worst song on the album. Ask Me Why. Okay, David likes this song and I hate this. I think it sounds like a goddamn cruise commercial.
Before you go to Ask Me Why, one thing I think is funny about Boys is, the lyric is like, it's like, every boy who's kissed a girl, take a trip around the world. And I imagine it's like one of those Family Guy cutaways that goes too far. It's like there's a guy who's like China, like all I want to do is kiss a girl, now I'm stuck here.
Yeah, me and David always say we'd be great bad writers for Family Guy.
Okay, Ask Me Why. It's not a great song. It's alright. It's not like
I love you, woo 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 woo. Not to mention there's that stinging in the ears where it's like I should never ever ever be blue. It's really well paced. It's just like songs 4 through 6 that get to the weak spot. After that, it gets back into it.
But also, I'm kind of like, when it's like bad, I'm kind of like, all right, that song's kind of stupid. I'm not like actually like, wow, I'm going to turn this album off, you know?
Yeah, it's almost weird though. These songs kind of, even these terrible songs, kind of sound a little bit good and in the flow when they're in context with one another.
It works. It's never out of place, at least.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what you were talking about earlier. Like every song on this album sounds the same, but I think it kind of does sound like one of those like early albums where like even though they sound the same, it like does help you kind of get into hypnotic kind of like concentration. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'm treating it too seriously, but like it's like the pacing of it and the fact that they all do sound the same, like it does kind of make it a little more easy to get into.
It'd be weird if it like out of nowhere there's a song that was like really serious, you know?
Yeah.
And if
Need to break from all the stalking, but
the best example is when like the Kinks did You Really Got Me Going. They literally just went in and made a bunch of really shit songs so they could make an album around that hit.
Yeah.
This is like technically kind of like that, but the difference is what they do is like it's different somehow, you know? It's not like it doesn't feel as phoned in.
I think I disagree with that. I think the special thing about this album is they kind of like believed, except Boys, I think they believed in every song kind of.
I'm not saying they don't believe in it, I'm just saying it's kind of the same idea. Like it's like, okay, you have one hit, let's like get this out.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean the background story behind this album, which is like another thing that's like makes it the original kind of garage rock album, is that like obviously everybody knows they were playing like in the Cavern Club, which was like CBGB of the '60s, kind of where like like a lot of teenagers would go to hear some cool raunchy music, and the Beatles would play there regularly, and they'd be really energetic, like cool shows. And George Martin just came up to them and said, "All right, let's just record every single song you guys play live. Let's record your whole live set." And so they kind of just it's kind of the original album where like they kind of just like try to get all their like the energy of like a live concert in there. Then we go into "Please Please Me," which is such a fun song.
Obviously. That's like the song.
Please me, oh yeah.
The front of the album is like "Please Please Me." What was it? "Love Me Do" and 12 other songs. Like, who cares?
Yeah. I also love how desperate this song kind of is for sex. Like, come on, please, please. When that line comes, I can't imagine John ripping his shirt off and exposing his chest like, please, 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 oh yeah.
And everyone just stops.
Yeah.
Don't put the shirt back on.
And then there's "Love Me Do," which is I think is one of the best songs on the album. That's such a good song to clap to.
I love that song. That's like one of my favorite Beatles songs, I think.
Oh damn, that's a big statement.
Yeah, I thought it was one of their best. It's just a fun song.
It's such a good song.
Okay.
Then comes "P.S. I Love You." Another song that's not that good on its own, but like it really melts in well with the context of the album. Which is a very good, it's just a very nice little ballad. It's got very good lyrics to
I
it.
like that one. Next one. Do you want to know secrets?
Such a fun song.
I always imagine like it's like they're like chasing each other or something. It's like,
do you want to know? Yeah, when we were listening to this, we put this on. We put the album. We've been listening to the album all week, and then we put it on speaker one more time before we did the review. And when "Do You Want to Know a Secret" came on, we just kind of like did this joke where we were just like kind of beating the shit out of each other, like we were a mafia or something like that.
They're running around like Scooby-Doo.
Just running around like Scooby-Doo characters. Tell them about your uncle, dude.
Yeah, so my mother's father's brother actually wrote the lyrics to this song and won a Grammy for it.
Yes, back in like what year was that?
You might have
that must have been like the 40s or something.
He wrote it for like a Broadway show apparently. And
oh yeah, it definitely is the 40s.
It's not a very good song, but I feel there's a little bit of a family connection.
You're responsible for this, David. You're responsible for this.
I wrote the song.
This is the song John Lennon would later refer to as a waste of money.
Waste of money. Do do do. La la la. It's kind of creepy too. It's like I came back for the honey and you.
All right, last songs. "There's a Place."
I don't even remember that song.
Here's a place. Not that good.
Oh, actually, it's not the Twist and Shout. I don't have it on there. Twist and Shout's technically the last one.
Yeah, Twist and Shout, like a big, like we didn't like it that much, but like we can just imagine like how great it would have been hearing that live in the Cavern Club once, like with all those guys with their clattery guitars and stuff.
That was such a big live hit too. Like they had Ferris Bueller. That's like people remember that version of the song.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed? We kind of gave the album a little bit of a bad rap because I'm sure what you all are noticing is like, you know, even though you guys complimented it, whenever we went to the songs individually, like you said they weren't that big a deal. And that's kind of the thing. All the songs aren't a big deal, but they melt in really well together and they kind of give you that sort of energy.
It's funny, you're right. I feel like we are being a bit backhanded, but then again, it's more like, it's not like in a way I'm like really insulting it. Like, okay, it's a little, it's more innocent than anything else. I don't think it's like, it's a little cheesy, but that, as I said, first album, for what it is, it's so good. It's I don't know, it's tough to review it now a little bit because it's from when it came out. I mean, we're such a different age than when it came out.
I know this at least. I think it's one of the best of the early Beatles album, like in their pre-Rubber Soul era.
I think it's dated pretty well, actually. Like it's
it has. But now that like I feel like I'm able to like I'm in an age where like I'm able to like get into the mindset of albums and stuff like that, I feel like I appreciate it a lot more.
Oh, it's not cool. This is lame. This isn't the Beatles album where they're doing experimental stuff. Like
yeah, but in 1963, how awesome would this have been?
No, and also this stuff was stuck in my head. I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of 10, what would you give this if you want to rate it like that?
I honestly think I'd give this like kind of around a 9 or something like that, because even though the song recording, my god, that energy is like almost perfect.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 7 or an 8, I think. I really like it. I think if you're considering, that's just my personal, like, I'm enjoying it. I mean, for like cultural relevance, I guess it's like a 10, but for my own self, I don't know, it's a good listen. If you like the Beatles, I'm sure you've heard it already.
Yeah.
But if not, it's a good introduction. That's what I'd say. History's interesting, the music's good, and we are a fan of Please Please Me.
Alright, good.
Alright, we'll be back with the Beatles.
Bitch!
By the way, I promise we will try to say like a lot less. That's like a weird thing our generation screwed us over for. Ah, God, I probably just said like 20 times in that sentence, didn't I?
I think we need to talk to Joan, I broke it again. Joan, I broke it again!